In this video drum lesson, we're going to learn the drum parts to the song Honky Tonk Women by the band The Rolling Stones, drummed by the living drumming legend Charlie Watts, of course. Let's start now. The first two bars, and I'm going to play the cowbell part up on the bell of the right cymbal. So that's probably how I'd replicate the cowbell part if I didn't have a cowbell on the actual drum kit. And the rhythm, let me just play it for you first. The first two bars is this. If you wanted to replicate this note for note as closely as possible, then how would the cowbell part interact with that drum fill? So just the second bar now. The cowbell part, I'll play with my right hand, and then I'll bring down my right hand to the snare drum for the first flam, and then back up to the cowbell for the last note on the cowbell at the same time as the floor tom note on the and 4. Because if you notice on the chart, the cowbell on the and 4 and the floor tom fall at the same time. We've got this one simple drum beat played all the way through the song, and it's pretty much kept the same all the way through, apart from some variations which I'll go over later on. So Charlie's playing eighth notes on the hi-hat. They're called eighth notes because in a bar of 4 beats you can fit 8 of them in a bar, and it happens to be we're playing all 8 on the hi-hat, and they're counted 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and like that. Bass drum on beat 1 at the same time as the hi-hat, 1. Snare drum on beat 2, same time as the hi-hat, 2. We've got a bass drum on the and of beat 3, same time as the hi-hat, and snare drum on beat 4, 4, and another bass drum on the and of 4, with the hi-hat of course, and. So just the bass drum and snare drum part, we get this 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. With the hi-hat, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And at this point it's worth pointing out also that Charlie his hi-hat is very experimental throughout the song. There's lots of little subtle opens and closes going on, which are too subtle to mark on the charts. I don't want you to be focusing on, oh, the hi-hat's slightly open on that 8th note compared to the previous one. So let me just adjust the by millimetre the height of the, you get my point. I don't want you to be worrying about those sort of tiny subtleties when it's not essential. It's Charlie's signature sound that is unique to him that no one really can try and replicate. Same with other drummers like Chad Smith, who are always playing on with the hi-hat, opening and closing it, gives them their unique sound. Charlie was no exception. In fact, he was famous for doing quite a cool drum beat idea where he wouldn't play the hi-hat at the same time as snare drum on 2 and 4. He'd do something like this. I'm not quite sure why. I've heard rumours that it was to do initially to get his hand out of the way, so he didn't want to stick the click at the same time as when hitting the snare drum. But I don't think it's as simple as that. I think it was a bit of showmanship. I've heard that banded as well. But to be honest with you, I don't actually know. It's out there on the internet, I'm sure you can find out. But it was, you know, Charlie liked to play around with the hi-hat, and throughout the song there's lots of little sounds going on, which you pick up if you listen to the record really carefully, but you don't have to worry about that. And then our first drum fill, sorry, other than the intro, and it's 2 on the snare drum, 2 on the high tom, 3 and 4 and. Now, I've written on a chart right, left, because that's how most drummers approach a drum fill, single-handed, alternating hands. But if I was playing that live, I'd probably play it one-handed, even with the hi-hat at the same time. I play open-handed, so I do this. My hi-hat would be here, don't ask. But it's an option for you whether you play it like that or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's not a very fast drum fill, so you've got plenty of time to change hands however you feel it.